being an entrepreneur sounds cool, but the reality of building a business is very, very difficult. Every level that you hit, there's a lot of things that suck that you just won't want to do. What you're capable of is on the other side. I don't feel like it.
And if you're committed to what it is that you're trying to do, nothing is going to stop you from getting there.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Real Business Owners Podcast. I am your host, Rick Trimmer, sitting in today for Trevor Cowley. For those of you who don't know who I am, I came on about 3 weeks ago. Trevor had reached out and, just trying to help him share the load, right? Carry the load. For you who follow Trevor, I'm sure most of you do, you know what he's up to right now with breaking the world record, running half a marathon every single day. He's on 446, I believe, something like that. I got it off a day yesterday and he was upset, which I can imagine. Every day counts when you're doing something like that. So yeah, and he just reached out and just says, hey man, I love your story. I've known Trevor for about 2 years. He was actually, I met him through a friend of mine and we just kind of stayed in touch, and he, has been following along on my story a little bit from me traveling and things like that. And then he reached out knowing that I was home about 90 days ago. He reached out about a month ago and just said, hey man, love what you're doing. You talked about maybe wanting to get into mentoring and coaching, and I need some help over here. So we partnered, and so yeah, I'm here. This is my first solo, so bear with me. Obviously I got some big shoes to fill. Trevor is a beast. The last few weeks that I've been spending most every day with him, he's just a good, genuine person. I love what he's built here, and I was happy to join him. So again, basically what this podcast is, it's going to be short. I don't want to go too long on this one. It's basically, if you haven't, if you don't know who I am, you can go back and listen to, we did a podcast a couple weeks ago that came out about my story and who I am, lost everything in the '08 recession, built it back, better, started getting into real estate, and I'm a serial entrepreneur. I've been starting businesses for about the last 21 years. And so that's where, that's kind of my background and the things that I have going. So if you want more in depth on that story, you can go and listen to that podcast and get some more information on that. But basically what I wanted to go into today was just, why I'm here. Again, I can be anywhere I want to be, do anything I want to do. I don't have to work every day, gratefully. I got a lot of things going on as far as businesses and rental properties and Airbnbs, but I have a good system around me, people around me that take care of all those things. And so we're home because I wanted my oldest son to go to high school. I think that's an important chapter. And so that's the only reason we came back. We've been traveling again the last 9 years. And so when I was coming back, it was like, man, what's next? It's actually been it was a hard, scary transition, to go from that lifestyle and trying to, having that purpose of just being with my family, seeing beautiful countries and all that I am very passionate about, and trying to come home and find what's next that's really going to speak to me. And so I bought some more property here in southern Utah where we're located. I've got 100 acres. I'm building out a big Airbnb compound, or whatever you want to call it. Kind of started with that. That kind of fell into my lap about 30 days before I knew we were done traveling. And then started buying more businesses, starting businesses. I've started or bought 7 businesses in the last 90 days, and was just really honestly trying to find what's next, what's going to hold my time, my attention, and be something that I was drawn to. And then Trevor reached out. It was a really weird moment when he called and said, hey man, do you want to be a part of this? And I went home to my wife and I said, hey, listen, this kind of, again, fell into my lap. And what do you think? And she's like, I think, you've always talked about wanting to mentor and coach people and, share our story. And if we can help anybody, that would be kind of the next thing on the horizon for me that I think would give me purpose. And so I said yes. He had me come out and speak at his retreat here in southern Utah. To be honest, I was very nervous about it. And got up there, did my thing, got some good feedback and good, it went well. And then he had me on one of his live Zooms inside his community, inside RBO. And that was amazing. Had 20, 25 people on the call and talked to them about how to exit a company and have that company run without you. And that's when he kind of said, hey man, if you like this and you enjoy it, would you want to come over? And I said yes immediately, So, again, I'm not telling you all this. I'm not telling you to brag or Trevor actually said, he says, what's your first solo podcast, going to be about? And I says, I'm just going to kind of give him a little bit more in depth on who I am, not more in depth, but a little precursor of that, and then kind of why I'm here, what I'm doing. And he says, yeah, try not to make it sound like an infomercial, right? And I'm not trying to do that. I'm not trying to, get you to sign up for Real Business Owners or anything like that. What I wanted to talk about today is how these communities and these going and spending time with like-minded men and women, on all these different things that I've done over the last 5 or 6 years has changed my life. Obviously in business, you're trying to make the money, you're trying to make ends meet. You're trying to, that's a necessity. But when you kind of get to where, when I reached my goals, it was like, what's next? And, more money wasn't the answer for me. And so about 5 years ago, I had a good friend of mine reach out, Ryan, and he invited me out on a hunt. And I hadn't been hunting really hunting for about 10 years. And he says, hey man, it was actually, we were home for about a week, and we were heading to Alaska. So we came home about every year and checked on things. I didn't sell my house. I didn't sell all my belongings when we went to travel. So we had, I'd come home to flat tires and dead batteries and whatever. And so came home checking on things, and Ryan just happened to reach out and said, hey man, do you want to come on this hunt in Hawaii with me? And I went to my wife and I says, hey, Ryan's got a huge podcast. He's been in the, mentoring, coaching space for a decade now. And I think it would be good for me to go spend time with him. I didn't even care about the hunting. I really did not. I pulled an old bow as an archery hunt. I pulled a bow out of my closet that had been there for 10 years, grabbed some old camo and headed to Hawaii. And it changed the course of my life. I actually head out there in 2 days from recording this. And I'm going out there I've taken over that hunt or that event. Since then, I've ran it the last 5 or 6 years. It's grown to 18 people now, 18 men. And I look forward to it as much as anything all year long. Even with my worldly travels, I would make it to where I would fly. I'd leave my bow in Hawaii, and wherever I'm at in the world, I'd fly from Rome to Hawaii or Australia to Hawaii. And it's grown. It's grown to 2 weeks now. I take 8 guys, including me, nine including me, to Hawaii, and we spend time together. And these are several of them each week. 3 or 4 of them are old friends that I've met and that I know, and then 2 or 3 are brand new people, but they're high performers. I don't mark it up. I charge cost. It's something that I'm trying to make as easy as an entrance for people to come and do and just meet new, cool people. And that's what RBO is for me. That's what I am looking for. Again, RBO hasn't changed my life, right? I've been in it for 30 days, but I know it's going to. I 100% know that it's going to, because I'm going into it with the attitude of I'm all in and I'm going to say yes to everything. I actually just got invited 2 days ago to speak at a huge event in St. Louis, Missouri, next April. 200 men is the size of that event. And I said yes, just yes, and then hung up and was like, oh my hell, what did I get myself into? But I know that that's going to help me grow. I know that I'm going to make relationships, and that's where I'm kind of at in this stage of my life. With RBO, I don't know if it'll move my financial needle, and I do not care. I'm here because I genuinely want to make new friendships. From that first hunt in Hawaii that I went on 5 years ago, I have a couple friends from that who have come to Alaska with me on my fishing boat a couple years now. I've gone out to their family ranch. I've become good friends with their mom and dad, and it has expanded my joy in life. My wife, actually, I didn't even think about this, but my wife was just out with that gentleman. His name's Matt, and his wife and my wife met in Alaska because of that Hawaii trip, and then they became best friends, like literally best friends, and they just went to North Carolina together, those two, on a girls' trip a week ago. And so that's why I'm here. I want to, it's selfish. It really is. I believe I can change lives in business. I believe that I have the resume and the abilities to change lives and help with the actual, have the rubber meet the road and change these businesses that these people are building or running. I can help them get into real estate and Airbnb and travel if they want. I'm a good, what is that, booking agent? I don't know what that's called. But I'm good at all that stuff. But why I am here is I want to make relationships. I want to make friendships. When you get these friends and brothers and sisters that have your back and are rooting for you, it is life changing. And so, when you're facing these challenges, and we all do, and I do still to this day, we all have our problems. And I felt like something was missing, right? It's like, I have my friends from high school. I have these people that I love and care about, but we didn't have a lot of the same hobbies as we got older. You kind of drift apart. And when you get older and you can find your people, mine have been, like I said, through hunting, fishing. We do golf trips. We just did a surfing trip to Costa Rica, and then business people. I love business, and I love that. I love those types of people who dare take chances, entrepreneurs, that are dreamers. And when you find that, it can change your life. And so, that's why I'm here. Basically, is to hopefully bring value and to the group and to the individuals that are in it. I've been telling my friends that I've just been kind of coaching and mentoring. You can find me in here now. This is where I'll be. And again, it's not this isn't a sales pitch. This isn't trying to get more members. It's just saying, hey, this is where I'm going to be from now on. And I'm excited about it. And I have a lot of things that we're building and that we're working on. Trevor, again, has been he's done this for, I think, 8 years now, right? 8 years he's been doing the podcast, and then the community's 4 or 5 years old. And again, amazing. The thing that I admire probably the most about Trevor is his consistency, to do a podcast every single week for 8 years, to get up every morning and run a half marathon every day. I love people like that. If you go listen to my story on the other podcast, I had to work 1,000 days plus in a row. I'm drawn to people like that. I'm drawn to people who will do the hard things. They're not sayers, they're doers. And Trevor is that. And so I am honored to be in this group. Again, I don't want this to turn into like some, just infomercial. But I really genuinely wanted to let people out there know that I'm excited. I'm excited to be here. I'm excited for the things we have coming up. I'm hoping, like I said, that I can contribute, with my resources and my connections and my network, and that we can just enrich each other's lives, right? And go to the next level in business and in adventure and all things, community. And so I think that's basically what I wanted to go over today. Basically that's what I had. That's what I have in my notes. So again, if you're not in the community, look it up, realbusinessowners.com or joinrbo.com. I hope to see you in there. We're doing some exciting things. I am very honored, grateful that Trevor is trusting me to come in here and do a solo podcast. I know this has been his baby, and it's a little intimidating. I got all these lights on and Nick staring at me, but again, I'm going to get better at this. I'm going to improve, and I'm excited for people to connect with people, and for my life to be changed, and hopefully for their life to be changed. And thank you for listening, and we'll catch you on the next one.